Hey, what's up, Shining Otaku? It's Cloud9 here today with yet another Your Manga Sucks Writing Edition video. So, a couple weeks ago, we talked a bit about the transformations and Nakama power-ups. A lot of times you see it in manga. You know what I mean if you've seen enough manga or read enough manga where characters get power-ups out of nowhere and of course, they just go crazy. Usually it happens in shonen manga. And sometimes there's not really a real explanation for it. So, today, I kind of wanted to segue into training arcs. Now, this is also something you see quite a bit in shonen stories, like shonen action type of stories, like your more common stories that usually manga is more known for and anime is also known for. And with training arcs, I want to make it a point to say that you kind of want to go with the same method that you would treat with a transformation in a story. What I mean by that is there needs to be a reason to show a training arc. If you're doing a training arc in the story. Now, what I mean by a reason, not just to show like how they got this special ability, because you can show that in a multitude of different ways. If you're going to literally give an arc to it, then there needs to either be development within that character or around the characters around that character to have a reason to actually show what it is that character is doing. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like fluff. Even if you're working towards something. So if let's say if you want to show the new ability that your main character is going to get, right? Then why do we need to necessarily see why they reached it unless you want to show us maybe how hard they worked for it, because perhaps they're a character that didn't have a lot of work ethic before that. So of course you want to show us that because that's essentially development, right? To show us development within that character. That character's doing something that they hadn't really done before, or maybe they've done before, but maybe they're getting a different result this time around. So that's something important to keep in mind. Or if, let's say, that training that character is doing to get that special ability is something that is inspiring the characters around them and motivating them. So maybe that character is doing what they normally would do and not really doing anything out of the ordinary, but maybe there are different people who are looking at what that character is doing, and that character is motivating those other characters, and those other characters are facing development as a result of that. That would be a reason to show a training arc. And I'm not saying these are the only exceptions, of course, but I want us to push that this is very important, that you have some type of development going on within either the main character or the side characters to have a purpose in showing this arc, whether it be positive or it be negative. If you just have the characters just, train for whatever reason, doing the same thing they always do, there's not really any development, and, then it's pretty much just watching someone go to the gym. And, maybe to an extent, if it's like minimal, I guess on some fan service type stuff, I guess it won't feel it won't, if you already know the characters, showing a scene like that won't necessarily be the worst thing in the world. But I mean, if you want to actually have the reader be enthralled in what the character's doing page by page, especially when they reach either that ability or get that form or whatever they were trying to obtain through training, whether it be supernatural or physical or whatever you may have it, it actually feel like you worked with them on it. You almost want to feel like you felt the fruits of their labor and you saw them going through that intense development, either them or the characters around them. You have to think about that when you're really trying to create a tournament arc or a training arc. I apologize, a training arc when you're working on a training arc. If you want to do a training arc. A good example of a training arc would be, for example, and I honestly think this series probably does it the best, but maybe because I'm like a super fan of it. I would say Naruto. If you look at how in Naruto the characters, or like Naruto, when they show his training arc of him learning how to use the Rasengan or learning the Rasengan, he didn't really face as much development in that story so much as it was Tsunade or some of the characters around Naruto that you saw real development. Of course, we saw him working hard. Of course, we saw him, and he still did have his own development. Of course, showing his relationship, of course, with Jiraiya at the time, which was his teacher. It was the first time he really had someone around him, um, and someone working with him that closely. The showing that they cared. So he did have his own type of development, but you had a lot more development, of course, with some of the other characters like Tsunade, who didn't believe that someone like him could become Hokage based on people that she knew that were even closer to her, that had that dream and then all perished. So of course, by the end of that arc, when you see him get that Rasengan, it's not just a blue ball of energy. It's something that has symbolism. Or even Ippo. Ippo is definitely a story that does plenty of training arcs. Probably more training arcs than I can count. Because it's about a character, or I should say Hajime no Ippo, just in case some of you aren't familiar with it. It's a boxing story. So of course the main character, Ippo wants to know what it means to be strong. If you can define that however way you want to define that, but that's basically the meaning behind it. And one of the reasons he wants to find that out, you can see early on, is that he used to be bullied, and he has power, but of course, coming into that is a different thing. He's more of a modest dude, a dude that kind of keeps more to himself, So showing him go through development through the training arcs, of course, is important, because otherwise you're just going to show someone punching a punching bag all day, So otherwise you can just skip over that and show, and you can show, okay, he trained, and then move on. If you really want, there's real no importance to that. So it's either usually an Ippo serving him as a character, or you see characters, maybe there's disciples, new people who come into the gym, and it's serving as maybe some type of development for them. Maybe even people that look up to Ippo, and now he's on the other end of it. So just keep that in mind when you're doing a tournament or a training arc. I keep saying tournament arc, but training arc, that you keep making sure that you actually have a purpose to show the training itself, and you're not just showing it just because you think it looks cool. Again, sometimes there is a little bit of fan service here and there, but you want to make sure you focus on, when you're writing, think about, when you're going back over it, why you put that there. Does the reader need to actually see what's happening, and who is it serving? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Go ahead and subscribe to Shining Otaku so you can continue to get these updates for any of these writing videos, or if you want to check out any of the interviews or upcoming videos that we have, discussion videos on manga, go ahead and make sure you hit that bell for the notifications next to the subscribe button. And also make sure you like that video. It really helps a lot, guys. It helps us get these videos out there so everyone can also enjoy these as well. And anyway, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.